Excellent. All right, well, let us get started. So as you can see here, there are a couple of things that you can download. Excellent. All right, well, let us get the speakers. Turn that off. Okay, so as you can see here on the document, it's also in chat on YouTube. You can see the links for the practice Word document that we're going to kind of be working through. If you click on that, you'll be able to download that. It looks something like this. When you go to that link, and then you're going to want to click this little download that to your machine. And then again, if you click on this link that you see in the chat there, it will take you over to this document right here. And it'll actually ask you to make a copy of it to save it to your physical drive machine. So you can do that, not machine, your physical Google Drive. And you can do that, or then you can download that as well and keep that to kind of walk through as we kind of get started. So this is Accessibility 102. Basically what we're working on here is looking at documents and presentations. So we're going to kind of hit some of the probably top 5 accessibility features for both. So we're going to talk about some Word accessibility. We're going to talk about some PowerPoint presentation accessibility because they share similar concepts and ideas. So we felt like that was a really good way to kind of merge the two together, since some people do a lot of presentations and some people have a lot of documents. They'll just kind of work well together. We're going to be talking a lot about the context of a syllabus because a word, as far as documents are concerned, the syllabus is probably one of the most interacted documents that students are going to have that touch point with, especially with professors within a course. And so I felt like that was probably the one avenue that everybody has a little bit of commonality with. And then presentations are kind of a wide gap, but a lot of the things we'll talk about work with that as well. So again, adding alt text to pictures and doing things like that. So again, we're going to talk about some basic principles, again, not just with Microsoft Word, but with PowerPoint as well. And then again, looking at the concept of accessible by definition of the U.S. Department of Education means allowing a person with a disability to obtain the information fully, equally, and independently as a person without a disability. So that's what we mean by accessible. We're creating things that no matter who the person is, no matter what they may bring to the table, they have access to that information. So that's where the universal design aspects come in, is we're creating it for every single person, not just people that have an accessibility needs or a disability, but for all of our students. Okay. Again, if you want to, you can dig into these a little bit. They are deep wells of information, but these are some of the reasons why it's so important. A, because it's the law. B, because you don't know really who is going to need any of the information, and it's always good to err on the side of caution and cover all of our bases when we're creating things. And probably it is C, but it should be A. It's just really good teaching practice, right? It's especially here at NNU, it's our mission and our mandate that this is who we are. And we're here to serve our students and serve the people that come onto campus. And this is one of the best ways that we can do that, is by making sure that all of our content is equitable in access. So looking at, we'll start with Word, but so looking at information as far as a document is concerned, a person that doesn't have a visual impairment or doesn't use like a screen reader would be able to see that document and understand some of the functionalities, right? Noticing the bold, that would make me tend to lean towards things are important, or this is good information. However, a person that uses a screen reader doesn't understand bold. It just reads it as text. It doesn't understand your really cool spacing and formatting that you have visually, because a screen reader is going to see that as exactly what it is, a really awesome block of text that is just that. And a screen reader is going to read it. It's not going to look at anything. So in order for us to be able to tell the screen reader what is important, we have to use formatting styles, right? We have to use things that enable the screen reader to pick out the information and relay that information to people that would use that particular tool. Also, these are really great features to be able to use in any Word document, and the fact that you can edit some of the styles to incorporate what it is that you would normally be doing in a Word document are, in my opinion, really awesome. So the first one we're going to look at is adding headers or this type of functionality to our particular documents. And how you do that is whoops, moving too fast. You go into the style menu that is in Word, and you can actually click on things and go that direction. So if you're looking at this document here, that'll open up for you. This actually, as you can see here, here's our style pane. So you can actually work within this document if you want to. It's kind of why we made it. Just a way for you to be able to get a little bit of practice in adding fonts and styles and doing different things that you normally would. Most people, if I have a title, I want to make it stand out. So I'm going to bold it, right? So I'm gonna double click this, right? So I can grab all of this, or I'm gonna drag and highlight it, and then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna make sure that it's bolded. And if I wanna add a little emphasis, I'm gonna increase the font size. And if I wanna add a little more, I'm gonna underline it. Right, so I'm going to do what I can visually to make that understanding that it's important or that it needs to be out there for everybody to see. The styles allow you to do all of those same things, but in such a way to where instead of me having to click and click and click and click and click, I can literally come over here and just add one click. And now it changes all of that. It also adds a heading to that particular block of text, which a screen reader will pick up. And what a screen reader is going to do is, based on whatever heading you use, is its level of importance. So think of it like an outline, right? Your one, or your Roman numeral 1, is that first item of importance. And then underneath that, your subtopic would be, right, letter A. And so that would be like heading 2. And so it's going to read the document in that type of succession. What also it allows a person to do with the screen reader is be able to jump through the document to access the information that's important in those particular places. So instead of them getting, as I showed you before, that big block of text and having to try to figure out where the important information is or what the topic is and how it all fits together, they can actually just click through using their keyboard shortcuts to those particular headings and be able to access the information right where they need it, right as it's necessary, and be able to find that information right there. And so again, in this document, again, you can practice. It talks a lot about, again, headings and making sure that you're looking at the different styles and things like that. Another thing too with headings is that you can edit them. So if you want the font to be a specific font, or you want it to be a specific size or something like that, you have that ability to be able to go through and to do that. Okay. Second thing is alt text. So alt text in a document works the same way as alt text does in a presentation. So let's say you have a picture. Okay, I'm going to scroll through the document a little bit right here. So you have a picture right here. And this picture, we'll use this one. This picture visually says something. However, a screen reader is going to glance over that because as it's reading it, there isn't anything attached to said picture that actually notes or gives a notation of what the image actually is. So because a screen reader can't decipher it, it's going to basically jump over it as if it weren't really there. So let's say this is actually something that you need the student to understand. You can go in and add alternative text behind that image, and the screen reader will be able to pick up what that says. So for example, I could add alt text to this image that says a picture of the cover of the Effective Online Teaching book by Tina, right? I can't pronounce her last name. I'm not even going to try to butcher that. So at that point in time, you could put that information there in that document. In a PowerPoint presentation, it works very similar, right? So you have the ability to do the same thing. You can click on a particular image, And then in that image, this pop-out box is going to appear on the right-hand side. And underneath this format shape, or excuse me, format picture, that's where we're at. So format picture, you'll actually have an alt text feature that you can then see, and you can actually give a title or description of that particular image in that presentation. And so when the screen reader is reading either the presentation or the Word document, it will be able to pick up that image and be able to decipher to the screen reader, to the person who's on the other side of the screen reader, what that image represents. Okay, coming back. So for example, this is what we were talking about before. In a presentation, as you see here, or in a document, if a screen reader doesn't see, there's nothing attached to that image, it's going to skip over it. Whereas in this, here's my image. I could add this particular alternative text if I wanted to the image to then give my students that are using a screen reader the ability to understand what the picture is or how it fits within the context of the information for the course. Right? So we're always tying things back to relativeness of the information for my course. Okay? And in a document, you add alt text basically a similar way. So you would right click on the graphic. In there is a size and properties option. You'd click format picture, and then from there you can add your description and text that you want to have in there. 99% of the time, if you bring an image in from like the internet or another source like that, in this description field, you'll see the actual URL where the image was grabbed from in the internet. And so you want to make sure that you change that text. Otherwise, the screen reader will read that descriptive text as HTTPS:// right? I could let you listen to what that sounds like. It's really, really not very much fun. And people that actually use a screen reader don't use a screen reader the same way that we would listen to it or the same speed. They listen to it like 5, 10, 15, 20 times faster. So it comes out like this really long, garbled, gobbledygook thing. Whereas if you just put some really fun text, then it makes sense to the person who is hearing that. Okay, the next thing, and probably one of the most important things that we talk about, is using what we call descriptive hyperlinks or creating descriptive hyperlinks. I have found that in my life right now, I honestly cannot just insert a link into anything anymore. I have to create descriptive text around it. It drives me crazy now when I see just a rogue hyperlink in an email, right? Or something like that. I just kind of shake my head and I'm like, oh, such a better way. Such a better way. So thank you, accessibility, for teaching me the error of my ways. And now I just hope to inform everybody else. So again, if you take two things away from what we're talking about today, it's alternative text, headers. Okay, I'm going to say 3. Alternative text, headers, and descriptive hyperlinks. If you can put those 3 things into practice, oh my gosh, you'll see how much better your life is. I promise you. I promise you. Okay. The reasons why we use descriptive hyperlinks. So as you recall, back when I showed you that big block of text that the screen reader reads, it's going to read every single character of a particular URL. So for example, it would read all of these characters, right? And then it would say link to or some kind of nomenclature like that. The same thing for a presentation. If you drop a link in your PowerPoint presentation, it will read to that person who's using the screen reader every character. However, you can take this link and instead of having it just sit out there, if this link actually talks about this information here, you actually link the text to the hyperlink. It's called creating a descriptive hyperlink. It's actually saying what the link is and describing what it is in the text. So for example, if I said a page on Wikipedia says, such and such thing, I could actually link to where I wanted my students to go. And the text I would use is the page on Wikipedia or the link to the page or, whatever the text was. And that becomes my link, even though now the students who don't need the screen reader can read it, understand that there's a link there. The screen reader will pick up and say, oh, there's a link, and the link is this information. This is also important for screen readers because people that use them have a function, a keyboard shortcut to hit the different links in a document or presentation. And so if you just have click here or see link or whatever it is, that type of understanding, all they get is a whole bunch of see link, see link, see link, see link. And there's no actual understanding of what those links are. So at that point in time, we want to make sure that we're adding descriptive text that goes around, excuse me, I'll click back here, that goes around and explains what the links are, whether they're in a document or in a presentation. That way, when a screen reader is used and that student or person is going through that presentation looking for links, they can easily find the link that they need because it's described and there's descriptive text around it. Okay, I kind of beat that one to death. So again, this is where I wanted to go. So this is what we're doing. We're going here and we're creating descriptive hyperlinks. And again, if you are using 365, right, you can right click on a text and there's this cool little link button that you can link to. You can link it up here in the insert menu. If you're using anything older than 365, right, you'll have a little link guide that's right there on the insert tab. And then this is where, again, you're wanting to add the information. So again, you're right, the text to display, you can actually type your text in right there, and then you can copy or paste, paste your link in that box there, click OK, and you've now got information, right? So really, really cool. Also, there was a function, Control K, is that what it was? So if I'm using Control K, I can also do the same thing. So I can have my cursor on a page, I can hit Control K or Command K on a Mac and bring up this insert hyperlink box. I can add my text that's there because again, it's my highlighted text in the document. I can add my link. So it could be a web page. You can actually add spots in this document, which also is really cool for headings. Headings can become anchors in your document that you can actually link back to. So this is a great thing also if you have students, whether they have a disability or not, creating those internal document links are great because you can click on something and take a student back to a particular topic or chapter or whatever it is. It's awesome. Anyways, that was a free little tidbit that I just gave you there. That was worth the whole presentation all by itself. Okay, so that's again, kind of how you do that and the reasons why we go that direction. Another thing that we want to work on also is using some of the built-in styling tools. So if you are making a list or things like that, you want to use, which again, a lot of people do, but you want to use the built-in styling tools. So you want to use the bullets and you want to use the different formatting tools that are available both in PowerPoint and in Word when you're building those listed items, because again, a screen reader will be able to understand that information and it will be able to kind of categorize that for the person using that tool. And even though you may use like a tab or 5 spaces on the space bar, right, to build your like lists in that document, the screen reader is still going to read that as a big block of text, right? So it's using those formatting tools and giving them the ability or the visualness to understand that this is important, and here's the list of that information and how it kind of rolls out, right? Because we want to avoid using things. And again, creating a list is as simple as clicking on, again, your numbered or your bulleted list, right? And you have options in there. So let's say you don't want the circle bullets, but you want the cool like star bullets. You can add those, or you want to change the number in which you start the list with. You can do that. And kind of go that directions. Another thing too is creating columns. So a screen reader will actually read through your columns of the information from left to right, top to bottom. So it has the ability to do that. So you can categorize your information in columns as well. Not only visually will it make sense, but also through the screen reader, it will make sense. In a presentation, you want to make sure that you're taking let me scroll through here, on a list. You want to make sure that, again, you're using tables and things like that in such a way to where all of the tables have all the pieces of information. You don't leave blank spaces in a table. You don't merge information together in a table, because a screen reader, again, will have trouble being able to explain what the information is in a relevant way that someone who's using that tool will be able to understand. I wanted to get all that out. It made sense. Also, in presentation, you add a table, you can add alt text to that table as well. So that way the screen reader will read that before it reads the contents of the table. And in this document on presentations, you can also see how to make tables more accessible. There's a few other features that you would need to be able to do that, but this document will walk you through, again, the couple of other things to be able to add, again, links in there or do some different things, again, with that as well. Also, on the PowerPoint side, they actually have accessible slide designs already built within Office. So you can actually search for them under the themes and be able to actually access the accessible Microsoft Office themes for those presentations. So if you don't want to start from scratch and you want to kind of have something that's more of a template design, you can do that and search for them. They have about 15 or 16 options, I believe, as of now, that you can search from and pick from and be able to do that. Also on the template side, we have a Word document that has a template as well. So in the event that you want to use that to start creating your Word documents from, we have a template that has everything built out already, and you're more than welcome to use that. And I believe the link is at the end of this presentation. You can access that and kind of go that direction. Okay. So also making sure that you're using in a document spacing. It's important not only just in documents, but in presentations as well. So you want to make sure that your text flows from page to page. You're using spacing in the correct format or way. The same is useful for presentations. A lot of times we move from one slide to the next, and in that title section, we'll put the same title as the slide before, but we'll use like continued. And so 4 slides later, because we're still talking about the same topic, we've used the same title of the slide 5 or 6 times. So at that point, even though the content on the slide has changed, the title hasn't. So as a student using a screen reader, what they're doing is they're searching through slides, trying to find this information, and the same slide keeps coming up. That's frustrating because now I don't know where the information is. I don't remember maybe what slide I was on. So creating not only line spacing and paragraphs and things like that, formatting your document correctly, also formatting your presentation correctly. So a title should be used on every slide that works with the information on the slide, or the title should be hidden from the slide. That way the screen reader reads the information as one succinct kind of paragraph almost. And so that way the information just flows from slide to slide, and it's understood in a way that that one title works for all that subsequent information. That one's kind of difficult to understand, and I know Crystal and I and Shanae, we're more than happy to walk anybody through it that has questions or needs help with that. That one's sometimes a little more difficult to grasp if you don't see it firsthand. Again, adding page breaks to the same as slides, making sure information is broken out in a relative way that's easily digestible by the students. Make sure that you're not overloading them on particular pieces of information, but supplementing where it is necessary. And then again, in documents as well as in presentations, I'm going to come back to the table concept, keep it simple. So every Piece of information should have a subsequent piece of information. Again, only use one row for a header, so don't double row those type of things. Don't, again, merge or split cells, especially if you want the screen reader to be able to pick everything up. Don't leave anything blank. So like I said, every cell should have a corresponding cell where the information works its way across. And again, you can use the built-in formatting tools that are both available in Word and in PowerPoint to help simplify the information within a table. Again, as I said before, you can add alt text to a table, both in Word and in PowerPoint. You can also add captions in as well. That way it just adds a little bit more information for the screen reader to pick up and for the table to be able to understand what it is that's there and how it functions. Last but not least, you can check your work, and it's beautiful. Microsoft has a built-in accessibility checker. It's a really awesome tool. It actually has the ability, it will search your entire document or your presentation, and it will give you the things that are out of quote unquote accessibility, or the things that are not accessible. It'll also help you to give you some understanding about how to fix certain things. So just make sure that you're kind of aware of that. The thing about, especially within a document, is that it will indicate for you when the headings are out of order, but not if a heading needs to be added. So it won't scan your document and say, oh, you need a heading here. It'll just tell you, you have heading 1, 2, 3, 5. Did you mean to do that? It won't actually tell you, you probably needed a heading here, because it's a bolded, underlined, 18-point font piece of information that probably is important, but you didn't put a heading there. And again, you can find that under the Tools tab, under Accessibility, and then I believe it's in the same spot on PowerPoint. You can also search for it in Word and in PowerPoint, and it will direct you to where it is, and you can run it from there as well. And that's a little pop-out that happens on the right side. Okay, so as we are creating things, I want to make sure that we just start small. I know that that term is used really relative, and it's arbitrary, right, to every person. It's a little different, but I want to make the understanding that if you start with just where you are today and start putting a few of these things into practice, it makes things a lot easier as you move forward. So again, if you're taking the time to look at some of the documents you're using today or this week or next week, and how you can start reformatting them to make them accessible, then the next time you use them, they're already done, right? And you start to take things in manageable chunks. Your presentations are the same thing. Instead of thinking about how do I fix this entire course right now, it's how do I start from today and start working my way forward, right? Because that's where we're really at. We want to make sure that we're starting from today and working our way forward. And then we have time to go back and fix things. Or, you know, before the next class comes, we have an opportunity to like look at how we can format or how we can fix or make things accessible. So don't feel like you have to take on all of your courses right now. It's just, where am I today? And what are my students going to be interacting with next week? Or what are they going to be needing for tomorrow? And how can I start to make those things accessible? And especially in a Word document, using the styles is spectacular because it saves you clicks. Like I'm literally giving you hours of your life back when you think of it at the end of the time, right? Because instead of you having to click on something and then click a bold and click an underline and click a font increase, right? You've got 3 or 4 clicks there. Now you just click on one thing in the styles, it makes it a header, which now you're making it accessible, and it increases the font, it changes the color, it does this, it does, I mean, it's just beautiful, right? You did one thing instead of like 5 things. I mean, as a business person, which I'm not, but that's a really good return on your investment, right? 1 click does 5 things instead of 5 clicks doing 5 things. Like, man, you can now go do 4 more things with 4 more clicks, whatever you wanted to do. So I'm giving you clicks back, if nothing else, okay? Which you could equate that back to time. Okay, I'll get off that horse. So setting things up, set yourself up for success. If you have questions, I know that I'm here, Shanae is here, Crystal is here, anybody from the library is here as well to help you. Rodney's in the room, so he's here as well to help. And if not, people can direct us, right? Direct you to people that can help you. So if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. We're all in the same boat, and we're all trying to navigate this river together. So again, that was a really fire-hosed overview of Word documents and presentations. So let us know if you have any questions, if you have any comments or concerns. We are here to help. I'm going to check to see. I don't think anybody. Oh, Sherry said the second link doesn't work. Okay, well, Sherry, I will send you a new link that does work for that one. Okay, and then I will come back and I'll put it back in the presentation so that way it does work. Okay, thanks guys so much. If you need us, we're here. Have a great afternoon.